Now that we've discussed some of the basic general ways that you can interact with JavaScript, things like variables, things like objects, and things like methods, let's talk about some of the basic data types that you can actually save into variables. Because there are quite a few, actually. We've already talked about a couple. One is a number. When you save a variable as a number, such as variable a equals 9, it can now be added and multiplied and subtracted for other numbers, which means I can do things like a minus 5, which is 4. Then there are strings. Strings are text. And strings can be concatenated together, such as when I say variable first name equals Hamilton. At that point, I can concatenate that together with another string, such as first name plus hello. These are two basic data types that can be saved into variables. We also saw that we could save document elements into variables as well, such as variable doc equals the document. At that point, I have saved the whole document into the word doc, and if I want to reference it, I can now reference it as doc. Another basic value type is something called a Boolean. A Boolean is something that's only ever true or false. True or false. And this can be saved into a variable as well, such as variable is moving equals true. And now if I was to log out is moving, it would say true. Booleans are important when you basically want to say, is something on or off? Yes or no, true or false, all those kinds of things. Later, we're going to learn how to question whether something is or is not something else. And when we do that, we're going to be receiving an answer that's either true or false. And it is called a Boolean response. Booleans are really handy. Now, so far, these have all been very basic data types. A more complex data type available to us will allow us to save multiple values into one variable. It's not so much a basic data type as it is a set of basic datas. And what's nice about JavaScript is JavaScript won't care what kind of data we put into this list. And the list is generally called an array. And the way we can make one is we can say variable myColors equals new array. And this would make a blank array. And an array is a list of values. But we can also place the values in right now. For instance, what I could do is I could make a list of red, green, and blue colors. And the way that I would do that is I would save all of those words as strings and separate them with commas. Each value in a list, when you create it, will be separated by a comma, and it will look something like this. Red, comma, green, comma, blue. Notice that each of these is a basic string value type, but the value as a whole is what's known as an array. I now have a whole list of items accessible to me through the variable myColors. Notice that if I just print out myColors, you'll see that it shows me a list of all of the elements inside of it. What's nice about arrays is that we could also save arrays as numbers. For instance, I could say variable Fibonacci's, and I could save a bunch of Fibonacci numbers into here. And I could say new array equals 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Now, the easiest thing for somebody to ask right off the bat is, how many values can I put inside of an array? And the answer is about as many as your computer can handle, which is probably a lot. Arrays are a great way to save lots of values in one easily accessible location. Now, what we need to figure out now is how to actually access those values. When you want to access a value that's inside of an array, you simply call the variable, such as myColors, and then 2 brackets after the name of the variable. No space in between the name and the brackets. Just say myColors brackets, and then inside of the bracket, what you're going to do is indicate the index of the item you want in the list. The index is a number that represents the location of the item in the list. Or, I'm going to just start calling it array now rather than list. What you want to use is a number that represents the value's location in the array. And when it comes to JavaScript arrays, they always start at the number 0. So if I were to type out myColors 0 right now, you would see that it would return me the word red. And if I was to say Fibonacci's 5, it would return me the number of 8. And that's because 8 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5. The 5th index. Technically it's the 6th index, but it's index number 5 because they always start at the number 0. So let's see how you do this. Go ahead and make yourself an array of colors, whatever colors you like, and then use JavaScript to print out the name of any one of the colors. Once you've tried it out and you're ready to continue, click the button.